So if you're owning an older generator like we are, you might want to check your fuel hoses. They might leak, which would cause a massive boom. So to cause your camper not to go boom, you want to inspect your fuel lines. Simple as a screwdriver. If you have an older one, ours is a 2017, you might want to do that. Just take that cover off. Look at this, has obviously been replaced with a new one already, and we'll show you those details in the rest of the video. But this is the old one that came out of here. As you can see, it's really checked and weather worn. You won't be able to see the long one that's in there very easily, but assume that if this one's bad, that one's also bad. And by the way, this job is probably not for the faint of heart. If you don't have a mechanical ability or are afraid to get your hands cut and dirty, it's probably not the job for you. Take it to Cummins and have them do it. Another Jocelyn project. Our generator works fine. It's just we have some bad fuel lines. What I'm trying to do is get the generator out, because in order to replace the fuel lines, I got to take all of the housings off. Should be entertaining. Right now, I've got the power disconnected. I have my LP turned off. Let's see what we got. Okay, so if you're really wondering why I'm taking this out, this is why. All of these are really checked, and they're dry rotting really badly, even so bad that the springs are coming out of it. So I did order some new ones from Cummins in order to get these fuel lines fed through. But I got to get this out of here in order to get this cover off. Underneath here, I've taken this thing loose already. It's the pipe clamp for the exhaust. And what I'm working on now is taking this bracket off here. And then I've got to remove, hopefully you can see this, 3 mounting bolts. That bolt out, that's one of the mounting bolts to the coach. And I'm just going to take this pipe off right now. And it just wiggles off. I just wiggled it off of there for right now. So, took that out of there. There should be a seal with it. And 2 bolts. Unfortunately, I only got the one, so I'll have to get a new bolt in there, I guess. Just stick this bolt back up in there so that I don't lose it while I'm doing other stuff. And I believe that's all I got to disconnect underneath here. Alright, so I think I got us done underneath the coach. This is the very first time ever doing this. So we're going to find out together how to get this thing out of here. What I'm trying to do is get this up here far enough. It weighs a boatload, so you're probably going to need a couple people to do it. At least another person anyway. It's stuck on something down below, so I'm going to have to look at that. So if you like this content, please subscribe, because I guarantee you I'll be doing some other stupid crap that'll get us into trouble. So I'm trying to get this hose clamp loose right here. Yeah, this thing's freaking dangerous, because she was weather check the beetle. See if I can get it off that barb fitting. Yep, there it goes. Slid right off. So there's solenoid. That's the hose that feeds the LP to the unit. And as you can see, she's pretty bad. So I'm going to try to get the rest of the hose out from the top end. There's one little fastener that's under there that is going to cause me some headache. But we'll see if we can get this stuff out. Did run into some difficulties. The doorway for the generator is too large. So trying to get this out of here, it was 1/8 an inch too big. So rather than grind this out or take this door frame off, which we painted the door frame and we'd ruin all that. Typically when you try to get these door frames out, they're glued in and they're very difficult to get off in one piece without bending them. So rather than do all of that, I elected to do it in place, which turned out to be quite fun.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Next fitting, I'm going to try to get that one down there. And then I've already pulled these 2 off. It's a shorter hose. It's right up here in the front, so I'm hoping I can get to that one fairly easily. But this is the one that's going to be bad because there's a clip back down in there. So what I ended up doing was actually pulling this hose out through this area. Now I did have to take this cover loose, which has Torx heads. These are Torx 30 heads, and there's one here on this side, there's one on this side, one on this side behind here, and then there's 2 in the back. So you'll have to remove those in order to get to this hose decently, and to get at least one of those studs off there. What you have to do is kind of destroy that tie strap mount that's on it. But I thought I'd show you what I'm going to attempt to do. There's a bend, and I'll show you on the prints and once we kind of put this video together. The hose goes straight in and comes up in the back side of here, but on the very bottom of this case down here, this hose has to make a 90-degree turn out of that housing and into the solenoid that turns your LP gas on. But what I did, I was trying to figure out how I'm going to get that hose to come out that hole. Actually, let me crawl into there. I'll show you that hole. So I had to be a little bit creative. So that's where that hose comes out. What I'm going to do is see if I can use this pink pull string to pull it through to get it to this point. Now what I don't know is what wires are in here, so what I'm going to try to do is keep it as low as possible and come out on the one side of that stud that's way underneath there. So I'm hoping I might be able to just pull it through with this pull string. So what happens is it comes in here, runs along here, and then it comes like right in where this rubber mount is. It comes on the other side of this rubber mount, and then it pulls into a 90-degree angle, which I'm not sure why they did that, but I guess it is to keep it protected, I guess. So, and then it attaches to the barb fitting on the back side of this, and I'll kind of see what I can do to show you that later. What I might do is just throw a camera scope underneath here just to make sure there's no wires or anything underneath there that'll hurt that hose. But the new hose is definitely different than the one that I'm replacing. Okay, the really long hose that I took out that goes from the front of the unit, from the regulator to the back of the unit. And I called Cummins and I explained to him the situation with, I've got weather checking. This old hose just, I'm afraid it's going to leak. As you can see, there's huge issues at the end here, and he agreed they had problems with that. So he sent these hoses. They're LP rated, so you don't want to use just regular fuel hose for this. You want to use LP because there's a little bit different pressures in there. But this is the new hose. You see there's a drastic difference. It doesn't have these weird gyrations, and obviously it's a little bit different. I mean, the ends of it, see, nylon and stuff like that. It does look a little more like gas line. I'm sure I'm going to have fun trying to get this on. I'm going to guess this will probably be a little bit better hose. So that's the long hose. Each one of these hoses runs around $50 to $52. So be aware of that. They're not cheap. But I figured I'd better get it from Cummins so that way it'll fit and I don't have to mess with it. So this is the other hose. This is the old hose that came out. Again, you can see we got a lot of checking on there. There's basically two hoses. There is a vent hose in there. It didn't look bad, so I'm not going to replace that one. That one seems to be a little bit more of a challenge. It's tucked away in the bottom down there, so I'm going to let that one ride for right now. But these two, where the main fuel line is, it definitely has seen better days. I tied this on the end of it. And what I'm going to do is pull this through and see if I can get that bend on the other side. Kind of feed that in. Let's see if I can get this to go in there on the right side of that stud there. This way it doesn't seem to have worked, so I'm going to have to try the other way. Alright, so I'm using that pull string. Get these fed through there. I'm gonna have to do it the other way. What the hell's it wrapped on? There it is. So I've got it pulled this far. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I've got it just poking through. So what I'm gonna do is grab the needle nose here and see if I can get in there. Gotta go get a longer needle nose, I think. Let's try my right angle. Nope, I gotta grab a bigger set. Okay. Not sure if this is going to be the right way to do this or not, but you can see I've got to get that hose over the top of that fitting. Unfortunately, I can't show you while I'm doing it because there's no room in here, so I'll show you when I'm done. So it did take some cut fingers and stuff, but I did get it all the way on. So now we're all the way on the hose barb. Did take a long extension needle nose to kind of hold the back of the hose up while I snuck my hand in this little joint here, which cost a few cuts, but we got it on. So now I've got to try to get a clamp up there. Just reusing the old clamps here real quick. So all I'm gonna do is snug this on the hose. So I got that on there. I have to push it just a hair bit more. I loosen that clamp and then push it in there. So I'm gonna get that clamp tightened up. Didn't remove the gas line and all that because I didn't want to disturb it. It seemed to be pretty good. This seemed to come off pretty easily. The only thing you gotta watch for are those wires for the solenoid to make sure that they don't get pulled. What I'm doing here is I'm putting in that drain hose from the carburetor to the regulator, and it runs the overflow of LP back. What I'm doing now is just trying to route it underneath that brush guard. Basically, when you're trying to tighten that long tube that on the back side of that regulator, go through that hole in the bottom down there and force the hose on. However, you can't really get to the band clamp that's down there easily. So when you do this, you have to leave that cover loose and pull the unit as close as you can forward. You're gonna have to try to get a screwdriver or a wrench down in there. I have it positioned that I could get my nut driver down in there so you can get your hands in there. Oh yeah, and thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you on the next trail, if we don't break down.